Alright, so I've been asked to do a tutorial on how I paint my purity seals. So I'm just going to jump right in and get started. As you can see, this is one of the absurdly long ones, and I think this comes from the Gray Knights, one of the Gray Knights sets. I'm not sure which. And I'm just going to get started by doing some base coating. To begin, let me just say that the color suggestions that I make here are by no means what I consider necessarily the best way to do it. This is just a way that I approach this, and you are free to experiment any way you want. But if you want to do it the way I do it, this is kind of how I do it. At least this is how I'm doing it this time. I often approach details like this differently every time I do it. There might be some similarities on how I approach it, but in general, I grab whatever colors are at hand, whatever seems right for the project. So to start with here, I'm going to do the wax seal itself with Evil Sun's Scarlet, and we're not going to pussyfoot around with this. We're just going to do it. By the way, I don't know, you may have noticed as I was prepping here that I mixed my paint with a drop of something. That something is Liquitex Airbrush Medium, a little bit of retarder to slow the drying process, and a little bit of Flow Aid just to help everything smooth out nicely. So this next part is a little bit of a departure. I always feel like every project should be a little bit of an experiment, and so I am going to experiment right now with washing this with a thin mix, really a glaze, of Drakenhof Nightshade with Lamy Medium, and I would say it's about 2 parts Lamy Medium to 1 part Drakenhof Nightshade. And that's just to get the details to pop right in there. So at this point, I just need to let that dry. And of course, when I say let it dry, I mean force it to dry with a hairdryer. So with that done, I'm going to move on to highlighting. And for this, I'm going to use Wild Rider Red. And let's see if I can do this without knocking the camera around. You'll see little protrusions in the seal that you can touch with the Wild Rider. To get it to really stand out. And again, this is just one method. That doesn't have to be red. You could do this in purple or green or whatever. Experiment, have fun. Okay, with that done, I'm going to do the scroll work, or the paper part, parchment, whatever, at the bottom. And to start off with, we're just going to we're going to base coat in some Ushabti bone and try not to get it on the seal. Keep in mind that because of the placement of the camera, this is sort of interrupts my regular ability to put the thing where I want it to be. I think this is one of the reasons I don't do a lot of these kinds of tutorials, because it's hard. It's very hard. Alright, and we're going to let that dry. By the way, before I go, or before we switch to the next part here, let me point out that even up to this point, I had 2 colors that I was possibly going to use for this part. Ushabti bone and Karak stone. either one of them would have worked fine, but at the last second I decided that I was going to go Usham T-bone, because I think I do tend to use that one more. So anyway, let's let this dry. We'll be right back. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is sort of the beginning of the aging process. And for that I'm going to use Seraphim Sepia. And I'm not really using it as a wash. I'm slathering it on here at this moment, but I'm going to actually pull most of that off. I really don't want that much on there. That was kind of a mistake. Again, one of those, like, this is too far away, I can't really see what I'm doing moments. All I really want to do is just sort of give the parchment a little bit of aging right here. I'm not really trying to do anything close to final shading yet. Because my next step is going to be actually putting the script onto the parchment. And that's sort of going to be a sandwich of weathering. So we're going to start with this, let that dry. That gives the initial aging process. Then we put on the script, and then we're going to age it some more. And what that does is it really ties the text into the whole thing, the whole parchment, and making it look far more realistic than if it was just essentially sitting on top. So we're going to let this dry and be right back. Alright, so next thing up is going to be the text on the scroll. And my color choice on this is generally dark brown. And in this case specifically, Joe Sonia Burnt Umber. But any old good dark brown will do. I don't use black. Never use black. And the reason is too much contrast with the scroll itself. I want it to look aged. I want it to look more part of a functional whole. And I just think that black looks too unreal. And I think I've mixed my paint a little bit too thin, or a little bit too transparent. I do like it to be a little transparent, but I don't necessarily want it to be that transparent. So let's see if I can fix my mistake here. The other thing is you want a brush with a very fine point. That's going to be really important, and you don't want your paint to dry out immediately, because you want to be able to do as much of this as you can while you're at your work here. And we'll see if I can do this. Now the key is I like to do I like to call them chicken scratches. Oh, that's too thick. There we go, that's a little bit better. They're dots and dashes, really. And I like them to be varied. I don't like it to be all dots. I don't like it to be all dashes. But I do want them to have good spacing. That's a little thick. This is hard to do. And if you underdo it, that's better than overdoing it, because if you underdo it, you can just do more if you need to. You know, if your paint's seems a little too transparent, maybe that's okay, because then, you know, the text is fading. I would prefer that. But you're dabbing at it, right? You're dabbing at the piece here. You're not dragging the brush across. And I can see that I'm doing more on the side closer to me. because it's the side, it's the part I can see. But I think you can see what I did there. Again, dabbing at it, dabbing as you go across, dot 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 dot, letting the brush maybe drag a little bit, you know, over a couple of those dashes. Yeah, that's not my best one, but I'm going to finish this up, and then I'll be right back. So not only did I finish that up, I actually went back with my base color and went over some of the areas I thought were a little thick and just dabbed it on just the same way, and it breaks up those chunks, and that's a way to kind of correct your errors. And as my friend Don used to always tell me, the mark of a real professional is somebody who knows how to fix their mistakes. So learn how to fix your mistakes. At this point, I'm going to go back over this with some Seraphim Sepia again, but this time I'm going to focus on actual shading. So I'm getting into the theory being light coming from this direction, right, down that way. This is the bottom, that's the top. So in theory, the light is going to be brighter on the top areas and darker under these folds here. So rather than wash it in, I'm going to kind of brush it up. Not too much, I don't want it to pool. If you use these shades properly, you can get some really nice blending effects with them. Really nice gradual coloration, which is very cool. Go around the little Inquisition symbol there. I'm not quite sure what to do with that. And maybe for the purposes of this of this video, I do nothing. Alright, let me let this dry, and we'll be right back. Alright, so now I'm just going to go back with the base color a bit. And do a little highlighting. Being very careful not to obscure any of my text details. You can avoid this altogether by just making sure that you don't put any text or too much text on the high points of the scroll. And where is, there we go. And then I can create a more extreme highlight with adding some white to the mix. Use that here on these, just on these upper edges. Really, it's an edge highlight. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, and we're just about done. I'm going to figure out what to do with that Inquisition symbol, and then we'll call it a day. So what I decided to do there was just to bring the colors of the wax seal at the top down into the Inquisition symbol, and I think that's a nice balance. And that's it. That's really it. There's not a lot to doing purity symbols to make them look really cool. I think the keys are getting the thing to look like aged parchment, where Seraphim Sepia is your best friend. Making sure you use a dark brown rather than black for the text. And trying to get that really nice sort of chicken scratch, you know, across the across the thing for the text. It really doesn't imply text very well, and you just want to make sure you keep it off of the edges and try to have, fairly consistent lines. And that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please like this video. And if you are so inclined and have not done so yet, please subscribe, and then you will be sure not to miss any of my future videos. That's it. I will talk to you later. I am Jay Adon, and thanks for watching.